As a kid, I could barely say, could I have that red truck? Growing up, I had a very bad stutter. I stuttered everywhere, at school, at my house. It consumed my entire life. I tried fixing it through over 10 years of speech therapy. My stutter only got worse. And kids, they can be mean. From age 6 to age 18, I was bullied almost every single day. I was called every name in the book, had gum thrown in my hair. I sat alone at lunch most days. One day, I met Ashley. She was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. And by some cosmic miracle, we were lab partners together. We talk all the time about her brothers, her day. I was smitten. Now you're probably thinking, Matt, did you ever ask her out? Absolutely not. I mean, what would I say to her? Movie? No. But I will say that Ashley was my lighthouse. She was my safe place when I was crumbling. And these kids became even more ruthless. So finally, I ran away from all of my problems. I joined homeschool and went mute for over 2 years. I didn't leave the house, didn't talk to friends, and that was my life. At 18, I wanted to be a missionary for my church. I went from being this mute kid to talking to strangers 24/7. Went about as well as you would imagine. The first 6 months were absolute hell. I was freezing cold, homesick, and my anxiety became suffocating, where I could barely breathe. The rock bottom for me was when I tried to say my name, Matthew, and I couldn't say it. The shame was unreal because to talk, to be human. And if I can't talk, then what am I? I didn't feel worthy of love. I felt like a defective human being that was different from all the normal people. And so I begged my dad, please take me home. We talked back and forth for a few days. He told me some words that changed my life. He said, what if your stutter was a gift and it gave you the hunger and the skills you need to one day be a great speaker? I love my dad. I was thinking, wow, that's such stellar advice, Dad. Next stranger I meet, I'll say, hi. I can't say my own name, but don't worry. I am the chosen one, and I'm destined for greatness. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that my stutter had taught me skills that no book could have taught me. Namely, 2 things. Number 1, how to work really, really hard. I would spend an hour in front of a mirror as a kid for just a sentence. The tonality of it, the pacing, tricks to not stutter. I spent 10 times longer than the average kid to just talk normal. I could take that work ethic and use it. Second, is having really thick skin. My entire life was rejection. There was no happiness or sunshine. I had to find my own happiness as a kid. So I went from thinking I had this curse, this stutter, to be my greatest gift. As I stand before you today, I am proof that people can change. And the power of the human spirit. Maybe you don't have a stutter, but we all have parts of us that we think are ugly, broken, and defective. We think if we show people our real selves, that maybe they wouldn't love us. But what if those parts you hide from people are actually your most beautiful parts and your greatest gift? If I could talk to 6-year-old Matthew right now, I would not tell him to stop stuttering. I would tell him to stop hiding. I would tell him and you that your messy, ugly parts don't disqualify you from greatness. They prepare you for it. Your suffering can give you the hunger and the skills you need to become great. Author's chair.
Good evening, Toastmasters, honored guests, and mostly the very luminous Anne. Wow, it is an honor to get to evaluate you tonight. I was here when you did your first speech, as a lot of us were, and what a journey you've had in a very, very short amount of time to go from looking down at the floor pretty much through your entire first speech to really owning the stage is impressive. This is a speech that you are taking to the speech contest in a couple of weeks. So it was great for us to experience that, see where you're headed with that. I loved your introduction. The way that I feel about that or would explain it is you address the elephant in the room. I've heard speakers talk or speak who have a challenge with their speech, a stutter or something else, and they don't address it. And I found for myself that I focus on that the whole time. If I didn't know you were sharing your experience of being a stutterer, I would have focused on that. He's stuttering. Does he know that? Are you aware that he's stuttering and he's giving a speech sort of thing? So I love that you address that right away and let your audience know, this is what I'm talking about. Excuse me. You're making your message is kind of what in another way to say exactly what you're doing, which I love that that's where you're going. You shared a lot of vulnerability. I love that. Your story had me sad and happy and shocked and angry and all the things. Very, very emotional, lots of vulnerability. I loved that. I loved that you also had humor in your speech. That always gets me. You mentioned something like, I am the chosen one. I thought that was hilarious. And you also had a call to action. So at the very, you put all those things together and your speech flowed very well. You always dress for success. That says a lot to me. When you get on the stage and you're looking like $1,000,000, I know that you're important and you have something to say, and I'm going to give you my time and attention. That matters to me. Dress for what you want your audience to feel about you. Again, great flow. You took us through your childhood, that experience, what you did about that experience, and where you are now. A couple of things to work on, and I know you wanted specific things because this is your speech for contest. I would just want to say use the stage a little bit more. I know that's very generic. You were a lot over here in one space. Also, I would like to see you include pauses a little bit more with the emotional story that you told. I wanted to sit in it a little bit longer. So for example, when you were talking about being bullied and then meeting that beautiful girl and that you went mute for 2 years, that got me. And then that heartwarming story from your dad, that is all very, very emotional. So my suggestion for going forward, and I cannot wait to hear your speech on the 7th, is to include a little bit more of a pause with your emotions and hold the gaze of your audience. Let us sit in that